Anyway, so what can you tell us with regards to this event?
Well, I think honestly speaking, on May 9th, 2001, when it gets to any May 9th, I feel very emotional because personally, I had a friend who passed on during this time. And let me tell you for a fact that if it wasn't, another time we were in Legon, and it was exams week. And if it wasn't because of the exam week, we would have found ourselves, I personally would have also been at the stadium because those days, anytime Kotoko and Hearts played, we go to the stadium to support our teams, our various teams. This is my colleague, my good friend I'm talking about was a Hasselhoff fan. Oh, he loved football more than I did, because most of us were thinking about, once we were all thinking about it, he was thinking about Hasselhoff. So amongst all the squad, he was the only one who went, and unfortunately he didn't come back. So any May 9th, I feel very, very emotional. I remember this day, and at the same time, I also thank God that probably it wasn't because of exams. I might have also found myself at the place. Because I didn't ask myself what really happened, what caused all this thing. In case you don't know, this is the biggest disaster that has happened in Africa. I mean, when you're rating all the disasters in Africa, 126 people dying at the stadium. This Accra Sports Stadium disaster is one of the biggest in Africa. And I think in the world, it's rated either third or fourth. I stand to be corrected. So it is not a small disaster. And think of the fact that it was just a small thing that triggered this thing. It could have been so much been avoided. I mean, this thing could have been avoided totally. Hooliganism in stadium. What happened was Hasselhoff was playing Kotoko in one league match, and most of the decisions went against Kotoko. I think Kotoko, one of the goals were ruled out. Eventually, Hasselhoff won on the day. And after the match, Kotoko supporters were peeved and decided to take the law into their own hands, started destroying the Accra Sports Stadium chairs and throwing it on the pitch. Now, the police available at that time, instead of just moving into the crowd, making some arrests, scaring the people here and there, started throwing tear gas into the stands. So, it is this tear gas that started spreading and caused fear and panic in the supporters, and all of them tried rushing out of the stadium just to avoid the tear gas.
KTU Radio.
Eventually,
87.7.
unfortunately for them, most of the exits were not opened. So, and you know that if you've been to a stadium before, most of the entrances, because of checking tickets, they are not big. They are quite small. I mean, when you are really entering a stadium, that is quite cumbersome. So this small space, and imagine this about the stadium was packed to capacity, so you can imagine everybody trying to go out of the place, and then the tear gas wasn't only just one thrown, a lot. So this caused a lot of panic, and ones for some were suffocating, others were being walked on, others were being pushed on the ground. Because actually, we don't want to even go back there for our listeners to recap. Families who lost loved ones should even start thinking about that. Bottom line of the whole thing: have we changed? Has this May 9th thing every year? The GFA, football people, all those who are in football, we kind of celebrate. It's not a celebration, but kind of remember this day. They go and lay it at all the various places. They do some kind of ceremony to remember all these fans. This thing should have really gone into the heads of supporters to know that things like this cannot happen again. But because how do you see? Currently, as we speak, Ghana Premier League is still experiencing some of these things.
Really?
I'm telling you for a fact. If you go, there are a lot of cases that are even still being held because of people going to stadiums and the supporters. Some players were beaten, some referees were beaten. It's still happening because I think people haven't learned from this. People are being hurt here and there. So our people have not learned. So I think that May 9 should be days that we should really continue to hammer and recap the day so that people will know. Maybe we were not born by then, so they don't know the essence of what happened, or they don't know how disastrous what happened was. We need to be drumming in for all those who were Indomie babies to know that it was a very big disaster and people really lost loved ones. Hooliganism in football is a no-no. And when you're going into a football match, it's either you draw, you win, or you lose. And supporters should be able to take that. The referees are in charge of the game. If you were today, you have been cheated, there are ways and means to go and handle such issues. You don't take the law into your own hands, try to beat the referee. Just recently, Olympics, it's one of the games, Olympics or one of the teams, and the referee had to rush to the car that the referee were, and he was really lucky that he got into the car before the supporters got there. Would have been another problem. You understand? Another example is another match was ongoing. The coach was sitting on the bench, and before he realized, the coach has moved his chair from the bench onto the middle of the pitch. Kasatintin. I'm talking about Ghana Premier League. But match no Koso, it was still ongoing, and the person brought the coach brought the chair into the middle of the pitch, and everybody was amazed. Why have you done? And he said that he did that because some of the supporters behind where he was sitting initially were throwing urine and were spitting on him. So he had to relocate. And the best place you could also think of relocating was on the pitch. So, Kasa, if all these things are still going on, how do we handle this problem that happened in 2001? I beg your pardon.
Ghana.
Mind you, 126 people died. 126 just going to watch a football match. And I think there were a lot of issues. People were blamed and all that. For me, I think that first of all, the police was very unprofessional, throwing tear gas consistently. At the point, they had one policeman telling the other one that you should stop throwing the tear gas. But this tear gas guy who was throwing, I'm saying now I fired up. I'm saying to be at. Then the referees too must also apply the rules to the latter. You are human beings. You understand that you are human beings, but don't intentionally overlook clear-cut fouls, clear-cut goals. I mean, don't overlook the rules to favor a team. Because these are some of the things that incite the supporters, get angry, and then they start doing all these things. Because I think the midnight is an emotional day. We continue to send our condolences to the families who lost loved ones during these times. Major, big supporters lost. House of Hope, for example, lost a lot of their supporters. The same for Kumasi, Asante, Kotoko. So, condolences to both teams and condolences to the families of the loved ones. And condolences to myself and a friend of mine who was gone. And we were really lucky that we were able to manage that exam that semester. It wasn't easy.
It's a pity. You are remembering your friend today, right?
Right.
So what's the occasion? What are you going to do? Any special plan?
Just praying for the soul. Peaceful rest for the soul. Continue to rest in peace. I mean, nothing. What else can I do? As I'm saying, these things have still not. It made me look for like 4 years. I hadn't entered the stadium before because of this disaster. I stopped going to stadiums because you could never be sure whatever will happen there. You understand? I mean, but stadiums are meant to be places of relaxation.
Yeah, paranoid.
People send their family to stadiums. People send their as young as 2-year-olds to the stadium. But sometimes you are scared to do that because you never know the outcome. So, yeah, it's an emotional day. Remembering all those who lost their lives. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Vico Korda, Head of Sports at KTU Radio 87.7, and also the Programs Manager for KTU Radio. Thanks so much for giving us an insight into the Accra Sports Stadium disaster, which happened on May 9, 2001, and took away 126 lives. You should learn from some of these. Right. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you.